Okay, yeah, here we go. Here we go. So the thing is that how do I remove this Twitch camera? Because I want to make this easier for you guys. What's this? Yeah, because, like, how do I remove the camera? I wish I was able to move it, though. Sure, this is full screen. There's no way. Is this... Oh. Okay. Enjoy the show.
Sold out in 30 seconds. Waiting list of 8,000 people in the first 3 minutes. You guys are in for a great evening. Welcome to Planet Fun!
And we are at one of the most popular booths, Funko Pop figures.
Dune doll, I've got a Flintstones doll. I think my favorite is Joker Conan.
Conan right there?
This is time for the big reveal.
Oh, wait.
Okay, so you ready? Okay, so I it's almost like that story, two guys walk into a bar.
And I know that guy.
I met Mike Becker in 1988 when he came into Seabell Sportswear, a t-shirt company I was working at. He was a sales guy, and we hit it off pretty quick, and turns out we loved all things retro.
Rob kind of opened my eyes to this world of what people call now pop culture.
At the time, we bemoaned the fact that we didn't live in the 1950s, and I thought, well, why don't we?
He drove a 1959 Dodge tail fin car, and I thought, what is this? This is amazing. So I went out and bought a 1959 Dodge wagon that matched his two-door version.
We'd travel through any part of America and find pictures of these hotel signs, there's still a lot of old neon. A lot of it was going away at the time, but we just loved that whole roadside Americana.
We went to swap meets, and we went to yard sales and to garage sales, and we called it junkin'. We'd go and buy tiki mugs and, all this fun stuff. And it just really became what we would do on the weekends and after hours.
It was rescuing it, and appreciating it for what it was. It was America's throwaway culture of the 60s, but it meant the world to us.
We had been at Seabell for, I think, about 6 years together. And that's when Sean Wilkinson entered the picture. He kind of became the third musketeer.
I had an interview with Mike Becker, and we kind of instantly had a connection, an art connection, a creative connection.
Sean would always hold these kind of fun, funky parties based around various themes, anything from cowboys and Indians to the circus. Nobody really knew what they were doing. I think the most important thing was we were doing it. We were doing something. We were just making fun. Rob loves interior design and decor, and he would always search out these weird bars, usually just filled with smoke. And we were just talking over like ideas, like, God, how can we, have this company? How can we do something that's the stuff we love? And it was really about 4 or 5 ideas. And one of them just happened to be bobbleheads. Rob went back that night, and he had created out of Sculpey a body for a bobblehead. And he called it like Computer Bob, and brought back the next morning, I think in like a tube sock or something. And he says, what do you think of this? Is it, and I went, wow, this is great. I bet we could sell this to Microsoft. I had gone on a lot of these licensing trips, and in one such occasion, we were at Universal Studios, and during one of my morning jogs, I ran down the Universal City Walk, and I stopped in front of this store called Sparky's. It was literally that awe moment where you just go, what is this?
We used to make giant window displays that had, God, I don't know, a giant Rock'em Sock'em robot, or a giant Pez dispenser, or 1,000 Pez dispensers in a window.
The left window display was robots. And I remember seeing them all in rows and all the various colors and the way it was set up that I just went, I don't know what's going on here. I got to be a part of this.
This very eccentric guy comes in and immediately, I think that bobbleheads are going to be the next big thing. And here's why your character Sparky should have a bobblehead. And I thought, that's really cool. And people that come in with ideas like that but don't have companies yet are probably crazy and I'll never get anything.
I wanted to get a big boy bobblehead, and I'd seen one recently for $900.
What's up? It's me, Jacob Funko. For this live, we are actually watching a Funko documentary that came out like years ago.
And I thought, well, there's no way I'm going to buy a $900 collectible.
It sort of just dawned on him. It's like, wait a minute, there's still a big boy restaurant. So I wonder if they would be interested in carrying something like this if I went and made it.
We start talking and he told me what his idea was. And I said, sounds great. So he showed me and I said, good, that's great. So I said, I'll give you the number of the corporate office and go ahead and call them. See if they authorize you can make the product. So he did.
I remember holding that first one and going, wow, we made this. Who in the world wouldn't want one of these? But I remember my mom actually starting to kind of like cry because she's going, honey, these things are beautiful, but nobody's going to want these things. And I was thinking like, oh my God, what have I done? So I'm thinking like, I got to do something quick. So I went to Universal Studios, Sparky's, and I took a case of the big boys. I said, why don't you try these? And he goes, oh, I just don't think it's my customer. I said, well, here, it's my gift to you. Give it a try. If it doesn't work, then, no harm. He goes, well, okay. I think it was like a day later. He called me. He goes, hey, you were right. We sold every one. And I'm like going, all right. So I knew then that the key was to get these in people's hands.
We had it right away, and we started selling it. And they used to sell like peanuts.
I came up with the name Brainworks, which is, in retrospect, probably a pretty stupid name. I actually was thinking Funko. And I said, well, it kind of works like fun company, funk. And it really just hit like, I go, that's it, man, Funko. It started with things I knew I could get for little to no money. I was working in the apparel industry and I started going to the licensing show and getting introduced to how licensing worked. And I was able to have literally some friends just say, go ahead, we'll do a deal with you for Betty Boo for no money down. And I remember that lady, her name was Ida Goldsman. She was really nice to me when we started out. I never forgot that. But the real kick to the company came with Austin Powers.
Yeah, baby.
We shipped all total 100,000 Austin Powers bobbleheads out of the garage. We would be shipping, like opening boxes and packing them, and I'd be like running the credit cards. We'd do everything. And then we'd get a call. I'd go, shh, be quiet, be quiet. I'd go, hello, Funko, can I help you? And we'd try to make it really sound like, just a minute, and you kind of hold it and go, order department, can I help you? It's Mike. And then as soon as you hang up that phone, yeah, you high five like 24 more pieces going to, Jim's Cards and Collectibles.
That really propelled us into a position where we had the kind of money in the bank to really expand our line.
Pez Boy, Pez Girl, Tony the Tiger, Felix, and Garfield.
We were able to get way better licenses, and it was kind of the sky's the limit.
Ready, Funko.
I always heard that people really gravitated towards mascots just as much as a name or a logo. So me loving the 1950s and loving all those mascots, I wanted it to be kind of a cross between the Squirt Kid meets Big Boy meets me. So in a way, it was kind of an alter ego. I just thought, well, we got to have, Freddy Funko, it's not going to sound too good to have, you know, Sammy Funko or Mikey Funko. So Freddie Funko seemed like a natural fit. And, you know, what better than a smiling 1950s looking kid?
My first assignment from Dave was we are going to make a huge presence in the store of Funko with their Wacky Wobblers.
We grew to the point where 1/4 of my Sparky store was nothing but bobbleheads.
People would stop in awe looking at these window displays, and we just started getting calls, you know, hey, I'm from Bob's Comics in Cincinnati. We were in Universal Studios. We want to order your product. Great. You know, this is Jill. I'm in Minnesota, and, you know, I have a card and gift shop. We have 3 locations. Can we order your product? I'm like, yeah.
We just kept creating larger spaces for the store and building better exhibits and taking risks on that because there was a need and there was a demand. People wanted Funko Wacky Wobblers.
We got our first office on Colby Street in Everett, Washington. Now there's 4 of us. It's like a real company.
Every wobbler from those early years was brought in by hand in boxes, offloaded off like a U-Haul that Mike would rent through that door, packed up and shipped by hand and sent out to the world. Ready Kilowatt and those kind of guys.
Chocula.
Yeah.
Little Sprout, you know,
the Alka-Seltzer guy. They couldn't believe somebody wanted to make a toy of them, but
and what we found is how many people loved that.
It's even scary to think that if we did our research, it's just playing by our own weird rules. It's like what's gotten us here. It's like if you said, "Oh, that's silly," you know, people won't understand this.
I know it's really hard. But like, I mean, the way
I used to think like, I know there's another 1,000 knuckleheads like me out there. So I would just bet that there was, and it turned out there was, you know, several thousand weirdos like me out there.
Something that Mike had said pretty early on is, I just want to make stuff I like, because if I like it, there's probably some number of other people that like it. I don't think he had any idea how big that number was and how passionate people would become about the Wacky Wobbler product.
Hi, Mike! Hi!
This is cool, man.
Hi, guys! Wow, this is such a cool thing!
Dave came to me and said, you got so many fans. Have you ever thought about doing a fan event? I said, yeah. But where would we do it? He goes, right here at Universal.
Welcome, everyone.
We tried to think, well, what do we do? We didn't have a big budget or anything like that. It's an early morning event. We got all the good cereal, the crisp and the Lucky Charms and anything that we had a license for.
We have like, I think it was like 70 place settings.
Decided to make some special edition products that people could only get there.
It was Sparky with a gold bowling ball. It was always like a big surprise. It was like, he's like telling me, you know that we're going to sell out every one of those gold bowling balls. I go, really? Like in a day?
So we started thinking, okay, well, what's the show? Okay, well, this, like, I have a science theme. We did lab coats and crazy stuff with our hair.
We're here to discuss the science of fun.
We wrote stuff on the chalkboard to make it look like we had all these formulas for fun. And then we talked like Einstein or something.
Now, how was Funko able to capture fun in this little box?
Everybody sat there and, you know, ate breakfast cereal. And that's when these terminologies start coming, like Funko fanatic.
I remember clearly thinking whether that was going to make anybody upset. Fanatic, is that a bad? Fanatic's better. Those words I remember coming from really that very specific time.
After they were done with the whole mad scientist thing, they all came downstairs and we did a countdown. And when they brought the yellow paper down, Mike was standing in a life-size Wacky Wobbler box. I'll never forget that.
We didn't know how many people were actually going to even show up.
Like, man, that's
we put the whole thing together in maybe a month, named it Funko Fun Days, and it seemed like a great event we would do one time.
I remember thinking to myself, you know, they couldn't get any bigger than Funko Fun Days 2002.
Here's Dave. Woo. In the life-size wobbler.
I heard about Funko from a Toy Shop magazine. This is before the internet days. I called the company, and at that time, Mike Becker had answered the phone. I just told him how much I like his company. He says, well, if you can guess a Rick Springfield song, I will send you some free stuff. I thought, this is crazy. This has to be a joke. Ended up answering the question right, and sure enough, I got a package from him, and since then I was just hooked. Back in our day, that's all we had were cartoons on Saturday. So it's not like today, you know, that kids have cartoons forever. So it meant so much Saturday mornings. We had to always fight over the time slots. Like my sister would, like 10 o'clock, I get to watch Josie and the Pussycats. I said, okay, then I get to watch Banana Splits at 9 o'clock. It really was a time of just of innocence and just, you know, being in this fantasy of really enjoying cartoons. And I think that has a lot to do with what I have back in me here, because I love them simpler times. These are very old funny face displays from '66, '67 fruit pie, so that's a pretty old one. And some of my advertising guys are old too. The helium heads are from the 70s. Actually, he's a 70s piece right over here. They actually got the creepy one they do on TV now off of that 71. And that's a helium head over here, which is Twinkie the Kid, which means a lot to me. I started toy collecting when I was 18 years old and doing toy shows since I was 18. So now I'm 53. And I look at those pictures of Funko and how young I was. You know, I actually grew up Funko. It's been 16 years. It's crazy.
I got it.
This is all the way back in 2002. Me and my wife got married, and out of nowhere they sent this to us. So they made Freddie. Congratulations on our date. We got married, and we have only 6 people working there at the time. I think we're the only husband and wife team that actually has 2 awards. I don't even know if another family has 2 awards.
No, that's not fair.
We got to know Mike a little bit at the first fun days. After that, they actually started doing San Diego Comic Cons. He invited me and my wife to work, and I've been doing every one since then.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, well, did I see this guy? No. Oh, Dorbs, man. I used to always
back
have
in the days
Dorbs.
when it was just the Wobblers. They had an end cap at Comic-Con. There was nothing on the sides other than brown boxes stacked up so people wouldn't walk through to get to other booths. Fanatics would take turns just sitting and talking and having a good time, and you know, somebody would come to buy a wobbler and you'd move over and you would be sitting there and you would see somebody saying, you know, looking, can I help you? Even though I wasn't technically staffed to work the booth. After a while, it just ended up I was a booth person without ever knowing I was a booth person. It just kind of morphed into that. My favorite characters in general would be Sid Marty Krofft. Anything Sid Marty Krofft. Anything. HR Puffin stuff came out in 1969, and I still remember that was a big deal to wake up and sit in a chair in the living room and watch that show.
So you're making a movie, eh? That's right. It's to raise buttons for our Get Rid of the Witch Fund.
My adventures with Funko started back in about 1999. As soon as I saw the SpaceX, I'm like, I love this company, whoever they are, because they promote the Crofts. Instant win. If I were to narrow it down, I still have a soft spot. It would be for the Blueberry Bank, which was one of the first pieces that I got.
My name is Boo. Let me finish.
That's where a lot of the old school people immediately fell in love with Funko, was the advertising mascots. But a lot of times, even in conversations, the mindset of, you know, okay, you're a bit of an odd duck and you probably have tons of floor to ceiling freaky toys that stare at you at night.
Batman,
it's all
Edward Scissorhands. Man, what a time to just be alive. No, I mean, I was alive in this time, but like, man, I wish I've liked this stuff like 6 years ago. I began to like, for like, you know, I feel like the good stuff I kind of did still. I thought it was like Peter Griffin.
I live in El Paso, Texas. In the collecting community, some people might know me as Reverend or Rev. I grew up being old school punk rock, rockabilly, kind of like the Rat Fink character. I'm not a licensed guy. I'm not about the movies. Definitely not a superhero fan. I was never into action figures growing up. I wasn't into He-Man or Batman or anything like that. You know, I had an Evel Knievel, one of those cars you roll up and take off the motorcycle. You know, that's pretty much the only action figure I ever owned as a kid. My thing is original Funko characters. These are all non-licensed pieces, you know, stuff that the original artists like Wilkie and Rob Schwartz made on their own. You know, they just created these characters, their own artwork, and made them come to life. This is the first concept. Before Freddy, there was a mascot called Major Fun. This is actually originally drawn in 1998. Also specialized in Freddy's, I have probably the most complete collection there is out there. This right here is customs that are actually made by Wilkie and Rob. Here's another custom by Rob Schwartz. You can see all the Freddy's on top, of course. I don't know if I call myself the historian, but I have a lot of paper, you know, artwork, concept art. A lot of stuff out there people don't know or whatever. I guess that's what keeps my interest. Part of it to me, it kind of, you know, shows me the beginning, and always believe, don't ever forget where you came from.
By the time we got up there were so many more people. Kids are waiting 2 hours for a ticket. You have to have a bracelet, and then you can have all the bracelets.
Huntsville, Alabama.
For the last 11 years, I've worked at a therapeutic treatment program for troubled teens. We're on the front part of the campus here, where all the animals are, where the staff stays, all that. Basically right on the Alabama-Tennessee state line. We have substance abuse groups and you know, various other therapeutic groups. When I first started, I was doing backpacking and canoe trips. And so I would take these kids out in the woods for, you know, 7 days to 2 weeks. And because of the population I work with, can't really, you know, take pictures of them, post pictures of them. So what I started doing early on was taking a smaller Funko figure with me. I'd strap them to the outside of my backpack, or on canoe trips, I'd zip tie it to the front of the canoe. So it was, you know, experiencing everything with us. I would take pictures of that in the snow or in a waterfall or in a river, or, you know, wherever. And that would be the replacement for the kids in the
Hey, Mom!
Afterwards, you know, the kids.
Can I have some fries?
Our main goal is empowering them so they can do better.
Can I have
and then just
fries?
teach them to believe in themselves and teach them that they are more than what they think. And we use sort of all of this to help do that.
Still.
And then there's just wants to be
Because I'm
pet.
hungry still. Okay, San Diego Comic-Con Day 5. Rations for a ticket to the Funko. What I hate is that too many people. Give me a ticket?
I've been here for the last 4 days, and every single day I've been either cut off or I've gotten no. So it's the first day out of the whole week. First day. I was so stoked.
Slowly, orderly. Do not rush. Do not run into each other.
So much for that. Third time's a charm. I got the 930 today. So happy. It's an odds game, really. I mean, if you try enough, you're gonna get that early badge, and you're gonna get what you want.
This morning we were in line. We were amped. We got the bracelets, but unfortunately, the 2 Duck Dodgers we were going for, they ran out.
So we were just doing Wacky Wobblers, and we create this next thing called Spastic Plastic, and it's just our own original characters like El Diablo and Bone Daddy. It's really just Rob and Sean and I just having fun, like creating like monsters and weird stuff that we like. We'd sit around and crack ourselves up for hours, just like writing silly stuff and going, you know, no one will get this, but what the heck? People like genuinely loved the product. Like they really were like really into it. And it was just like so heartwarming and touching. It's like, wow, really? Like you got that joke on that box?
My position with Funko is weird because I've never been an employee. There really weren't many employees back then, so it was kind of all volunteers. It was guys like myself that were collectors and friends, and we all got to be part of it. And there's something extra special about that. Just the fact that they let us do it. much less want us to do it.
It was a fun time. We were in this gigantic 2,000 square foot facility. There's, I think, 6 of us now. We were growing and we were trying to take time to have fun. We would have wiffle ball games at least once a day, if not twice. And me and my brother were always the home run champs. I want to make sure that we add that.
The first time I walked in, it was Mike, his wife, the dog, his brother, and Wilkie and Rob, and then a kid, Sean, in the warehouse. So that was the whole crew. And the dog's in the office. They're all wearing shorts, and they've got bobbleheads lined up on the curb, and they're whacking them with golf clubs across the street into an empty field. And I'm thinking, and this guy's got it made. This is what I want to do for a living.
We got a lot of really neat fan mail. I got boxes of letters that I still keep to this day, like amazing letters. Like people that say, you know, Funko saved my marriage. A firefighter said his friend was killed in 9/11 and his favorite thing was collecting wacky wobblers. And he says, oh, I just thought you should know, what it meant to him. And I'm like, God. There was some collector that wrote me a really nice letter. And I thought, hey, you know what? I had a whole box of these unpainted sculpts, the prototypes sitting there. I thought, well, no one's going to want these. And it's kind of a shame to throw them away. Right around that same time, I was the COF. So that was the chairman of Fun. So I liked playing up on that because I tried not to take things too seriously. And I wanted the Funko vibe to be like, fun. So I said, here's a little gift from the chairman of Fun to you. And then this guy tells everybody on the forum, says, I got a BOF box of fun from the COF, chairman of Fun. And so this is how this thing starts, with prototypes and box of fun and chairman of Fun, and it just kind of grew. It's like then I start getting letters like crazy, like, how come I don't get a box of fun? I've been collecting your stuff since day one. Now it was starting to reach, we're into this, it's successful. I couldn't believe all the good fortune we had. We were in Entrepreneurial Magazine, TV Guide, and even Sports Illustrated. It doesn't get any better than that. We were doing stuff that a lot of people thought was just weird, like Evel Knievel, Mean Joe Green. I struck up a friendship with Ed Roth for Ratfink. I ended up meeting and kind of becoming friends with Mr. T. Just crazy stuff like that. We're getting things that are facts that says, we want to know if we can get your okay to use one of your bobbleheads as set dressing in a TV show or in a movie. I'm like, heck yeah. We got offers from everything from like the adult industry all the way to NASCAR. I mean, stuff that either I wasn't familiar with or understood, or stuff that necessarily wouldn't go hand in hand with like the Funko feel. And at the end of the day, I kept trying to tell myself, look, I started this company for me. And I know it sounds selfish, but that's why I did it. So I could kind of live out my fantasies and my goals and do the characters.
I'm going to be right back. wait, guys. I'm back. I am back.
I want to do, and we're doing good enough. We don't have to grow.
I want this one. Go this way.
After 6.5 years of living and dying and loving and just 24/7 nonstop, I mean, it was actually almost like affecting my health. I'm so hands-on. I was overwhelmed, and it was years of the highs and lows. And when you see old pictures, you can see on my face, I was done. Emotionally, I was just spent.
Spiders.
I literally needed to just walk away.
I gotta explain
thank everybody for so much support over the years. I appreciate it.
I talking about the documentary.
It means the world to me. With that said, I did start Funko in 1998, and I had a 5-year plan. I figured, you know, we do this thing for about 5 years and move on, and it's been 7 years. I'm still here. I'm still having fun, and I always thought I'd do it until I stopped having fun. I'm still having fun, but I'm at the point now. I'm ready for some new challenges. Anyway, the only way I ever thought I would retire and kind of hand over the crown, if you will, is if I found the right person, the person that would. I told myself I would do that.
That's cool, Mike. That's good. So it's fine, Mike.
I found the right person that was not only a friend but a collector, and someone that would continue to support you guys and continue to grow and keep the Funko spirit. Someone that loved good old-fashioned fun as much as you guys. And I found the person in Brian Mariotti who will be taking over.
Brian Mariotti.
And come here, Brian.
Oh yeah, Brian!
This is it. Pass the crown off to Brian.
No! No! No!
I got to know Funko's products because they were doing products that were very nostalgic in nature. So I got a chance to become a fan of the ideals of the company, followed the company very closely, and was like any other typical fan who admires a company and what products they're putting out.
He had called about something. I think to either say, hey, I love those wacky races, or you're coming out with more or something. And we started talking, and he said, well, I live here in town, and do you golf? And I said, oh yeah, I'm really good. And so he says, let's go golfing. And that's how really the first time we golfed somehow. And he's like really good. He kicked my butt, actually.
I got to watch Mike run his company from afar for about 3 years, and got to admire what he built.
We just kind of became friends. Collecting friends, golfing friends. One day we were golfing. I just said, man, I've almost had enough. I said, I actually had an offer from a company to buy Funko. And he goes, well, what if I considered that? And I said, well, sure. I just knew at the time my best bet would be to sell it to him because he was local. He had a passion for it. He was a collector. And also because the few employees I did have, like Rob and Sean, at least they would have employment still.
And so I, ponied up the money along with my 2 high school buddies, and we bought the company, and I guess the rest is history.
Before we get started, I want to give a real special thanks to all you guys for showing up. I mean, this is my way of saying thank you guys for...
I think more than anything else, I didn't want to let the fans down. When somebody comes out and is new, you're going to have to prove yourself.
Uh-oh, what are those?
Good job.
I would liken it to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. If you love candy and you didn't know what was behind the walls at Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, and you got to take the chance to peek behind the curtain, and then one day said, hey, you can run that place, you kind of pinch yourself. You're like, hey, I get to do this for a living, and I love toys. I get to make what I want. But then you got to balance that with the business end of it and saying, okay, I can't just make what I want. I got to think about other fans and other interests.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. I had a great time.
The first couple of years were rough. We tried a lot of things that honestly just didn't work. Everything that would take to run a company like Funko, the answer is really simple. I had zero experience. I had no idea how to do it. And, I just hope that the love and passion I had for pop culture and
toys and collecting would
really
somehow,
around
some
for
way
the
overcome my complete lack of
CEO,
knowledge in every
you
aspect of
create
running the
real
business.
joy.
Man, my dream was to get a Star Wars
I thought
license.
primary
That was my number one goal buying Funko. How can I get a Star Wars license? How can I make Star Wars products? I remember that call when it came in, and just like a dream come true. Getting that was the first step to adding on other significant licenses like Marvel and DC Comics.
Oh, yeah.
There was never a sense of give up or when are we gonna catch a break? When are we gonna get to the next level? Put your head down, you work your tail off, you surround yourself with really smart, talented people, and you hope you break through. Warner Brothers came to me and said, we think we have an opportunity for you to do DC stylized vinyl. We've always been just a bobblehead company with them, but they needed something unique and stylized and whimsical and fun. Very Funko, but very different. I remember the artists were drawing up the plush. I'm like, well, this doesn't look like plush. This looks like a vinyl figure. And then when Warner Brothers called, I remember thinking, we have that. I remember that plush that looked like a vinyl figure. Let's mess with the proportions a little bit. I was excited. I thought we had something.
The plush that I had done became this pop, and they had Sean Wilkinson do little changes here and there.
I always talk about it as sort of the science of cute. It's like we really found that little perfect window moment of the pop.
The first ones that debuted was Batman and Green Lantern and Joker and Riddler and Penguin. And the funny part of the story is we debuted it at Comic-Con in 2010, and our fan base hated it.
I have a passion for toys in general, so it just sort of took off in the direction of Funko. I think we all had a little bit of trouble buying into the new type of toy because we had all collected bobbleheads. And frankly, I was an old school collector, so I was a little bit standoffish at first because these weren't bobbleheads.
Some people were instantly, this is a new Funko product. I'm going to support it. I'm going to get it. And some people, they saw the phase go from wobblers to Nodniks and Funko Force to the Funko Force 2.0 that became Pop. They appreciate the struggle like Nodniks, but it kind of led to the Pop so that it's still a fantastic piece of toy history.
Yeah, man.
Our business from 2005 to 2010 was still 95% male. And I would say jokingly 100% nerdy, and I consider myself a nerd. So that was the demographic. When Pop came around, we saw as many women buying the product as men. We saw kids buying the product as well. So that was a very different change for us.
I don't know how common it was back in the day, you know, to see characters like Freddy Krueger and, you know, menacing characters portrayed in a cute way. Here's this guy that's part of your nightmares, and now he's aw, look at him.
That aesthetic resonated globally, and I think that was the beginning of Funko morphing from just a collectibles company into a pop culture company.
And look at these adorable Funko Pop figures.
We had Conan reaching out to us saying, we want to have your products represent Conan at Comic-Con, and he unveils them on his TV show.
The company that makes pop vinyl figures, Funko.
How cool is that?
That's
Who makes these things? I've never seen them.
Funko. That's the name of the company.
Whether it's in TV shows or talk shows or on the newspaper, it's really cool to see our hard work show up in unexpected ways.
Hello, darling. It's me, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Oh, the first time I saw this, I was in love. Oh, Elvira. I collected some of them, so being one was like receiving the Academy Award, only shorter and darker and, yeah, not gold.
It's morphin' time. I was looking at the other Ranger signees. I was like, that's cool. It's like, anybody got a black one? No, they haven't come out yet. And they finally came out. It was like, I got one now. So I was all excited. I was like, I got a Funko Pop. Ooh, 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 there it is. It's morphin' time.
White Ranger toys were there, all the Red Ranger, Pink Ranger. So I went in there and I bought pretty much all of them. And at that time, it was like $10 a pop. And I started researching a little bit more. And then it became this huge, you know, people collecting them and people just going crazy over them.
She's mine! Mine!
Funko Pop Freddies have come across my desk at various Comic-Cons around the world for several years now. People love that kind of cartooned version, I call it. When I was a little boy, I remember cute Frankensteins and cute Dracula monsters.
Exactly.
When I was just a little nipper of the dark, I collected Aurora model kits. You know, while the other kids around me were collecting Barbie and Ken, I was collecting the Mummy, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon. So I was a geek from the beginning.
Funko Pop for me, when I see most people, the fans, it's the new teddy bear version. You know, it's something tangible. Look at those things. Oh my gosh. I've been told I had a big head before. Okay, that's a big head.
Wow, that's like that. That's mostly the head. That's, you know, you can spin it. Like you can spin that and be a good top.
When I sign things, they don't want me to sign right there. They want me to sign over here. And they don't want me to sign it in the green pen. They want me to sign in the white pen. And, you know, I respect it. I do it because they're very picky and they know what they want, but they're very passionate about collecting.
The acceptability of loving pop culture has grown. I mean, it was nerdy. Sometimes people considered it nerdy, but it's not nerdy anymore. Now it's cool. It's like, yo, if you're not watching Game of Thrones, what's wrong with you? You know, if you didn't see the Power Rangers, I need to educate you. Come on back, son. Come over. I got a DVD. We can look it up on Netflix right now. And let me show you my favorite episode and why I like them. So let me prove it to you.
I think the stigma of growing up is no longer. A lot of new fans or old fans realize that they can retain that part of their childhood, that part of their innocence, can have that sense of childhood back in at least a portion of their lives.
For me to actually see the fans tell me what they learned years later, it's amazing that they listened as a kid.
When they come to my table, it's your opportunity. Tell me your story. Tell me how it influenced you and impacted you.
Okay, who's this? Queens, New York.
We hear a lot of stories from the fans about things that they've encountered in their lives and how they've been motivated. I think for me, that is the thing that is most fascinating, is the fact that I was a positive aspect of their life without ever knowing it.
My name is Rex. I've been growing up in Queens all my life. You know, I've been here for 21 years. When I was 5, my mom bought me Power Rangers action figures, and I would play with them nonstop. And then down the road, I gave them away to a cousin of mine. I realized, like, I should have kept them, you know? This reminded me of my childhood. Everything I collect is everything that reminded me of what I enjoyed back then.
My man's like, oh, yeah, but I remember Dorbs. Dorbs were...
Oh. We're live from New York. First day of New York Comic Con, Thursday. Having a good time. Sir, this is the exit, sir.
Sir, this is the exit, sir.
All the way down? Thank you.
So they got Dorbs and just like normal Funko
This will be the second time that I will be at New York Comic Con. You know, and Toy Tokyo announced that they're going to have Jason David Frank do some signings, as well as Walter Jones. You know, so I always have to get my Black Rangers signed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just being the person who inspired you, you know, that's a great feeling. And getting your pop signed by them, I mean, there's no words to describe that.
There are people that will do like a 3-hour journey or come from a different city to come and have their pop signed. And they're like, I can't believe it's you. And man, I got a Black Ranger pop. I need you to sign it.
Yeah, I think it is.
I got a chance to meet my actor, and I've got that signature on that pop toy. It's kind of a closure for the collectors to get it signed, put it in a box, and put it on a shelf.
This is going straight to my collection. Oh, yeah. Let's believe. I'm a huge Power Rangers fan.
Straight to the bicep.
This, honestly. When I have friends over and they see it, I can tell them about the story.
Oh, the
even though these are only
Funko
toys, people get, you know, they have an emotional attachment to it, and they, you know, they really want them. And on the flip side, other people know they can make a lot of money off it. And so you have somebody who really wants one and can't get one versus somebody who knows they can make a lot of money off of it. You know, so just tensions rise, and you just got to do what you got to do to calm it down.
We find in Toy Tokyo that when the adult starts making money, they want to buy what their mothers and fathers threw out. They want to buy what they remember when they were younger. That's the whole thing about the nostalgia. That's the whole thing about collecting. I'm a dealer, but more so, I'm a collector. If you ever came into my office, you would understand that I'm a collector just because I'm a collector. I love this stuff. I liked music. Actually saw Hendrix play live in New York, and I just wanted to have a piece of that action, which I couldn't get in any other way. I want to put out the figures that I collected that I like Michael Jackson and the Biggie, Flavor Flav, John Lennon, and so on. So I like the music. People can relate to whatever they want to relate to, and I believe I'm part of it.
The Mario Brothers. Okay.
My name is Simon Calderon. I was born and raised in the South Bronx. That neighborhood was real tough growing up. There was a lot of gangs, there was a lot of violence and stuff like that.
Shout out to Bronx too.
My parents weren't really around, so my grandma raised me and didn't really want me wandering in the streets and stuff like that. So I tried to fill myself with comic books and TV and video games.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm so glad. Like, man, I watched this documentary like almost like a year ago.
After trying growing up, I collected baseball cards, but then after that, I started to collect comic books. I would just play around my vivid imagination of reading about the Hulk, about Superman, because I was obsessed with power. So that was an escape for me.
Bro, he turned into the
superheroes I've always felt a deep connection with. I was bullied my whole life growing up in school, and it wasn't until I read this Captain America comic book where he actually told this kid who was bullied, and it kind of felt like he was talking to me, but he told the kid, don't let them bully you, stand up. And even for your friends, if you see your friends getting bullied, stand up.
I was bullied my whole life. I had a severe speech and hearing problem. But reading the whole comic book, it taught me to understand about power. Like the Hulk, for example, at the time he was more like a monster, like a freak, but nothing would get in his way. When he got angry, he would just take action. So I related to that. And that's why I got involved in bodybuilding and fitness. I equate with that because I became strong and powerful and able to defend myself.
Oh my God, wait, he actually turned into the Hulk.
Wait
a minute. I was joking at first.
As a normal person who has vices and weaknesses, you look to them as your mentors or your guidance. And you draw your strength from their strength to overcome. Where we have weakness, we have to draw strength from somewhere else.
Man.
When you see the Hulk, it's not just him hulking out. He has the reason to Hulk out. You see, at the time, David Banner, Bill Bixby, he's dealing with a confrontation or he's in a problem. He's trying to solve it, but he can't do it efficiently, and the Hulk comes in. So it's interesting because after each episode, you learn about life. A lot of people come up and tell me how much their mother hated them because of the fact that they were rich shirts. They made up for me. They would Hulk out front of the TV, breaking furniture in the house. People come to convention, get thrilled, especially when they hold it up. You can see they're nervous, they're shaking. So when I sign it for them, they get excited. I see them all the time, and I think it's a great, great connection.
No, I would never learn the streets of New York all by myself. No matter how old I am.
Fighting out of Long Island, New York. His professional record, a perfect 21-0. Leadus, the Hebrew Hammer, Selden.
People always think because I'm a professional boxer that I'm supposed to be this mean, gritty man. I'm really a kid deep down inside. Every day I wake up, I train. I have managers, I have trainers, I have publicists. I have a whole team that is behind me. So when I fight, I don't fight just for myself. I fight for my community, my fans, for everybody around me. I am always bearing to break with emotion. As soon the second this guy's part is mentioned into my head, everything just decompresses, and I get to become a kid again. And because I'm able to do that, I'm not sitting at home every day stressing about my next boxing movement, my next interview, my next strategy for an upcoming fight. Most people don't have that way to be able to express themselves in a stress-free environment. All right, so this is my Star Wars section of the house. It's one of the largest collections. One of my favorite Funko Pops actually is, let's see if I can get him out of here, is the General Grievous Funko Pop. I'm able to do in my sport something that nobody else is allowed to do in theirs. In NFL, WWE, basketball, hockey, they are owned by that organization and they are not allowed to wear anything else in the ring. I get to represent who I am. Star of David on my trunks, my girlfriend's signature on the back, glow in the dark chase sticker on my patch, dead center, that companies have actually came to me asking me for that spot. And I said, nope, that's my Easter egg. And that's the thing I hide from the rest of the box community. It's who I am. It's my passion. It's me representing something that I love and enjoy. And I love the fact that they don't really know what that is, but the Funko community, the millions of collectors out there, are able to see an athlete perform for them. The reason that not too many people in the boxing community actually know that I collect is because I don't share that with them. I don't share those two worlds that are totally different. There's Funko Pops and there's boxing, there's geek and there's gladiator. I don't share those two worlds with anybody. Nobody will ever believe it until they see this video and they're going to be like, wow, that's amazing. Hopefully. Or they think I'm crazy.
Okay, guys, this is the end of this class. I'll say
a geek is anyone that identifies.
Thank you for watching this live, and I will see you on the next one.